Welcome back. There's not going to be very much of an update with this video. It was a busy day. I had things I had to take care of. I think that's about as far as I want to go with that. As usual, I've got 2 readings that I want to do. Welcome back. There's not going to be much of an update with this video. There's not a lot to tell. There were some things that I had to take care of earlier today. I think that's as far as I want to go into that. Further, I don't have any news yet about the cards. I haven't had an opportunity to work on them. I may attempt to look into that later this evening. We'll see. I'm just going to take a second here and then do my grounding and move forward with the readings. Okay. Ground my energies. Okay. As usual, these are going to be a 5-card spread. I did not receive any messages that should be changed. I'll take a moment here to say hello to the cards. Okay. I'll take a moment to connect my energies to the cards and to connect this first reading to my friend Karen. Okay. Card's not ready yet. Okay. Okay. So to begin this reading, your status card here is the boy. And the intuitive message that came when I turned this card over, first and foremost, I was drawn to this shirt of leaves that this boy is wearing. Definitely, obviously, it's speaking to this time of year, but the message is a little different. The intuitive feeling and message that's coming through is focused on these primary colors that this boy is wearing, and the figure itself is standing out in this card. It's speaking to youth and sort of that youthful creativity. It's speaking to freedom, and there's power. There's a lot of power in this card in these primary colors. I think this is a decent place to start as far as the status. This is speaking to self-empowerment, being in a place where you can be free. It's also speaking to creativity, particularly artistic creativity. I'm getting that strong impression now. So all in all, pretty good card to begin with. Okay. Wow, okay. Okay, your challenge card for this month here is the Smith. There was a strong intuitive message and voice that came through when I turned this card over. This is directly speaking to an excessive focus on work or creation, excessive in the sense of almost being self-absorbed or being removed from community or friends or family. this is speaking to an isolation because of that focus of work, and the fact that that can bring difficulty. Yeah, definitely I'm getting this sort of determined, obsessive nature from this challenge card, and a distancing from all the other figures in the card. Okay. 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 Your tool or resolution card here is the Fairy of Growth. This card is reversed. When I turned it over, the intuitive message that came through was speaking very loudly about fluidity, being flexible, which I think there again it speaks to this challenge card of being rigid and being way too focused. This card in and of itself is kind of murky. I don't get a strong impression that the reverse nature of the card is speaking out. Two, I was really drawn to the illuminated portion of the crown of the figure in the card, and there's this little antenna that's sticking up. And this too is speaking to me of sort of trusting intuition, trusting a higher self, being illuminated, you know, beyond therein, this focus on this one thing, this one work, opening up those centers of yourself, you know, to intuition, and particularly also not only the crown but also the heart. This is a childlike figure, and I do sort of get that energy from it. So yeah, I think definitely it's speaking to being fluid, not as rigid, and being open to the messages and energies that are coming in. Card's not ready yet. Okay. Card that has come up a lot recently. Okay. So your resolution card here, or possible outcome, is in two minds. Now, I apologize if the card is difficult to see. It's due to the lighting that I'm forced to use here, but the intuitive message that came through with this card when I turned it over immediately, a lot of times this card for me, I'll get this impression in the message of balance, and it's still speaking to that here, but it's not, as an outcome card, it's not speaking necessarily to the importance of balance as that balance being an outcome. I got the strong feeling and impression of harmony here from this card, which speaks to, you know, balancing work or that focus and drive with, you know, community. And other areas of your life, balance in general. This figure here in the card is smiling. and I'm getting now this impression of lightheartedness and humor, and light. So I think all in all, this is a very good card for an outcome card. One of the ears of the figure on this card is sort of cocked as if he's listening, and I think there too that speaks to what came up in this card about being open, intuitively. So yeah, all in all, I think a very positive outcome card that speaks to the potential of this tool card. So pretty positive. Okay, card's not ready. Okay. Another card that's come up a lot recently. Okay. Okay, your personal card here is the Lady of Leprechauns. I'll hold it here for a moment so that you can see it clearly. There again, take a moment to look at the card closely and see what impressions you get from it. There will be something in this card that will speak to you directly, and it may or may not be my own interpretation of it. My intuition when I turned this card over was a focus partially on balance, but it was also this regal look that this figure has. Too, my attention was strongly drawn to the mask that she's holding, which speaks to unmasking the illusion that's been created, of the focus in your challenge card. I get a really good feeling from this card. I do think there again, it's also speaking to what came up in the solution card as far as illumination and receiving messages, because I get a lot of feelings and impressions of spirit and message here in this card, particularly being watched over, guides and that sort of thing. So yeah, all in all, I think this is a really good personal card, and I think that it speaks to the rest of the reading. I'll show it to the camera again. As I said, definitely take a moment and see what you discern in the card, because there will be something in it that will speak directly to you. If you have issues seeing the card, let me know and I will send you a picture of it. That is certainly not a problem. All in all, I think it was a pretty good reading. Resolution came through very strong. I think there's a high potential there for a positive outcome and moving forward. Alright, let me put the cards back in the deck. Let the deck have a moment to disperse some of those energies, and then I can move on to the other reading. These two cards are supposed to be together. Okay. While I'm taking a moment to rest here, I'll just reiterate what I've said in recent videos, that I'm still reading those Dragonlance books. I am almost all the way through the first of, I believe it's called the Chronicles. The first book is Dragons of Autumn Twilight, and as I said before, it's very reminiscent of this time of year. Also, it speaks to my own personal history and past. These books were introduced to me by a friend who, transitioned to this role as, a brother over the years. He and I are really close. So it's a really nice, returning to these books and reading them again is a really nice sort of return to that mental and emotional landscape of that period of time. And as I've said before in some of the videos, you become so accustomed to and connected with the characters in these stories. It's really powerful. So I definitely recommend that you check them out if you haven't read them. Okay. I'll shuffle the cards here for a moment. Let me take a moment to further connect my energies to the deck and to connect this next reading with my friend Colleen. Turn those. Okay. It's not ready yet. Pretty nice card to begin with as a status card here. Okay. Your status card to begin this spread is the Magician. I view this as a really positive card to begin with. The intuitive message and impression that came through when I turned the card over was one of being in control. And this is a self-possessed confidence. It's not an arrogance, but it's a knowing of self-mastery and being comfortable and in charge of yourself and your situation, like in your life. This is a very good place to be. The Magician here in this card is controlling the elements and himself, and he's interacting with all these other beings in the card itself. It's all about sort of being in your element, top of the mountain, so to speak. So definitely I think this is a very positive place to start as far as a reading is concerned. Yeah, I get a very strong feeling and message of capability here with this card. Not surprised to see this card here in a way. Yeah. Okay. Alright, your challenge card is the Thief. Immediately the intuitive impression that came through when I turned this card over is the fact that although this, I don't take anything from the meaning of the name of the card, the Thief. That seems very irrelevant to me. But this card in and of itself speaks to going back to the status, someone who's capable, confident, able to take care of themselves. At the same time, there's a very loud voice in this card that there's a kind of sad somberness to this card, and it's speaking to the separation. There is a sort of in being this card, in a sense, like in being so capable, there's a separation between you and others in your life or the rest of the world. Almost in a sense there's an isolation because of being capable, and it's also speaking to having a different perspective. It's like looking above, being able to see the mountains off in the distance, whereas everyone else is looking at the forest, or like what's right there at their feet. And there's a sadness coming through this card because of that. Yeah, there's a loneliness in this card, a somberness, definitely. Okay, I gotta set that down for a second here. Okay. Alright. Okay, your tool or resolution card here is the Sorcerer. There are a few varied impressions and messages that came through when I turned this card over. First and foremost, this card speaks to inner work. It speaks to, inner enlightenment, seeking within to find answers, like using intuition. Also, that's indicated very strongly here, the figure in the card, this gnome or this dwarf, his ear is really large. It's very apparent in the card, and it's as if it's indicating that he is listening, and I get the impression that he's listening to both himself but also spirit. So there is a sense of being guided in this card. Two, very strongly, I was drawn to, and the message came through. This deals with being grounded to the earth, but also the roots in this card speak to community. It speaks to branching out, reaching out toward others. So this card is definitely speaking to reliance on friends and family and other people as a potential solution to this isolation that's going on here. Also, as I said, very loudly, I'm getting this whole thing about being grounded, which is sort of a turning away from this figure here who is self-reliant and sort of self-contained, and so it's about opening yourself up to reaching out to people and making those genuine, solid foundations. Not a bad solution card. Sometimes with inner work, that sort of stuff isn't always easy, but I don't get a bad impression. The face in this card is illuminated. It's very bright, in contrast to the rest of the card, and so I'm getting that this inner work is going to be a positive experience. Okay. Wow. There's a lot of beauty coming from this outcome card. Okay. Your outcome card here is the Fairy of Youth. There are several messages that came through with this card very fast. I'll try to handle it all, but first and foremost, the message that came through there, again, it speaks to the name of the card itself, which is youth. As I said, there's a lot of illumination in this card. This is speaking to springtime and growth. Also, it's speaking to community. There's a strong message here of a positive outcome of, a gathering of friendships. Yeah, there's just a lot of joy and happiness in this card. Also, yet again, it's speaking to being grounded to the earth, being grounded to situations, sort of hearth and home type stuff. The figure in the card here is balanced on a mushroom very comfortably, and the mushroom is anchored, into the earth and into the card. I am getting an impression from this figure at the bottom of this card here. It's speaking now of some reservation or some trepidation, as if to say, well, this growth or this change or this outcome is kind of new, and I'm not sure if I can trust it or not, because I was really comfortable here as the thief, being self-contained, and even to that degree being the magician, being fully in control and having that sort of confidence. But the intuition and the message I'm getting here is that the illumination in the center of the card is outshining that doubt. I do think that there will be some doubt there simply because of the newness of it. There's going to be some adjustment going on. But I think all in all, this is a really positive card. I think it speaks to light and love, community, connection. So yeah, not a bad outcome card at all. Okay. Well, a card that has come up a lot lately. Alright. Wow. Okay. I had not noticed. I'd seen this card a lot of times and had not noticed this. Very interesting. Okay, your personal card for 33 days here is the Elven Knight. I'll try to show it to the camera. As I always say, certainly take your time and look at the image closely. There will be something in this image that speaks directly to you, and it may or may not be my intuition and my interpretation of the card. If you have trouble seeing the image, the card, let me know and I can send you an image of it. So when I turned this card over, it took me a moment to bring in exactly what the card was trying to say. The message was a little cloudy, as oftentimes it is with this card. And I do believe it's because there's a lot of chaos in this card. It's hard to see even here in real time, just the way the artwork, the approach, and the style of this card. But I saw something interesting when I looked at it, and my intuition and my eyes were drawn to it immediately, something that I'd never seen in this card before. And it's the fact that this knight is sharing his horse here with one of the mythical figures in the card. So there again, to me, it harkens back to that sense of community and connection. It is speaking to the fact that you can be the thief, you can be the magician, you can be self-contained and have that empowerment. At the same time, you can share your journey with another and have a lot of love and light and community and connection and goodness. So I think this card is definitely speaking to that potential duality. And you know, I would say all in all, it's a really positive and meaningful personal card for this spread and for this reading. I'll show it to the camera again. As I said, if you have trouble seeing it, let me know. I have no problem sending you a better image of it. When I was doing some research on this deck a while back, I did find someone had taken some pictures of the individual cards, and there is a picture of this card online that makes it a lot clearer. So definitely, if you need, I will send that to you. But yeah, all in all, I think this was a very positive spread. As I said, you know, sometimes this inner work can be difficult, but the intuitive message that came through was sort of like, you know, you've got it. You know, it's not going to be a sort of soul-wrenching process as sometimes, you know, inner work can be. So yeah, I definitely got a positive feeling from that. So yeah, there's those two readings. I'm going to go ahead and cut this video short. I don't really have a lot more to add as far as an update is concerned. As I usually say, I hope all of you are well. I send you love and light and goodness, harmony. Certainly there again, I'm doing free readings right now, so if you're interested, leave a message below, and I don't mind at all to do one for you. For those of you that I did these readings for in this video, if you have any further questions or concerns or what have you, let me know either via Facebook or leave me a message here. Certainly, and I'll look into things further. So yeah, I wish all of you a good night, and I will speak with you soon.